I'm Chaplain Jared Anderson, and I wanted to share this presentation on well-being so that it would be more freely available. Things seem paradoxical as human beings in life because of wishful thinking and, let's face it, delusion. Our words reflect what we want to be true, and our actions reflect what is true. Turns out it is really bloody hard to engage with reality as it is. But when we increase our emotional strength and fortitude, engage with reality as it is, and respond from the ground up, focusing on principle and process, we can face pretty much anything, which in the healthcare industry, we need to. And this paradox of wishful thinking applies as well to wellness and with the industry of wellness. My passion is radically increasing well-being with minimal changes and investment. Don't do more, do different. This is the holy grail of well-being, exponentially better outcomes for minimal increases of investment. And the payoff is nothing less than life itself. So in about 10 minutes, I am going to be able to help you fundamentally shift your perspective and literally the way that you experience your work and your life. Let me know how I did if it seems too good to be true. The paradox of well-being is that most approaches to well-being ask you to do more things. If only you meditated and went to therapy and slept more and ate better and exercised and bought yoga pants, and you would be more well. Well, the paradox is that kind of messaging just makes us overwhelmed and feel guilty about all of the things that we are not doing. And so ironically and paradoxically and unethically, approaches to well-being actually decrease your well-being. I'm not going to do that. We're not going to do that. My main message is that you've already got this. You already have all of the strength and the resources that you need to thrive evolved into you. And all you need is a moment, a few moments, to plug in to those resources. I'm not telling you to do more. I'm telling you to make tiny shifts in the way you do what you already do in ways that will have tremendous benefits. We're going to talk about plugging into your body, plugging into your stories, plugging into the present, and plugging into the support. And then I will conclude by making a few recommendations on how you can shift your daily schedule just a bit, again, to radically increase your well-being and literally extend your life, because the principles that I will be talking about, the practices that I will be talking about, help your body metabolize out stress and be less overwhelmed and increase your emotional fortitude. First, plug into your body. The basic task of emotional well-being is to move your feelings through your body cleanly without resistance. I really like doing wellness in a medical context because we know these metaphors. We deal with infection, we deal with wounds, and, keep it clean, get out all the infection, the body heals itself. And our soul and our minds can also heal themselves. One of the most basic practices that we can use is breathing. Breathing is incredibly powerful. I'm addicted to it, do it all the time. But we can consciously breathe and unconsciously breathe. Thank goodness, right? But conscious breathing can reset you. And it's something that I do all the time. This is turning yourself off and on again. If you will take a deep breath, hold it, and breathe out slowly, sometimes this is called square breathing, it relaxes you and resets you. As a bonus, if you have the opportunity, you can put one hand on your chest and one hand on your stomach or your gut. Like, these are all very, very powerful centers of resources and strength in your body. So put your hand on your chest, put your hand on your stomach, maybe even if you're at work and people will think you're weird. Take a deep breath. And let it out slowly. You have just reset yourself. You have just turned yourself off and on again. And I love breath work as the basic go-to tool because you can always do it. At any point, you can one thing I'm proud of is I'm embarrassed to admit that I used to yell at my children, but now I just go, and my kids say, "What's wrong, Dad? You're doing the breathing thing," which as a bonus trains them to do the breathing thing. Another thing that you can do is give yourself a hug. So again, my approach to well-being is using social science and systems theory, scientific insights about how our bodies work, how our minds work, to hack well-being. I know like life hack and brain hack are terms that we use all the time, but these are actually evidence-based scientific practices. So our brains cannot differentiate from reality and fiction, but also they cannot differentiate between what we do for ourselves and what others do for us. And so we say, I want a hug, or, I need a hug, or I could use some love, whatever you mean by that. And hugs are wonderful, and social and relational support is very, very expensive, very precious, sometimes expensive, but it's incredibly precious. But we can also hug ourselves. When I'm having a very hard time, I will wrap my arms around myself and I will rock, which is a very, very powerful, soothing exercise. And everything we do is for a reason. Too often, everything we do is kind of for dumb reasons. And a reason why most of us don't plug into the power that we have is because we're hoping that someone else will do it. And this is a general rule, is that we avoid showing up to our own lives with work and effort because we're hoping that someone else will do it for us. Well, men generally do that, and women often do too much work without the credit. Different topic. So when you need some extra support, you can hug yourself, whether it's during a break. And this is why I really like the hand on the chest, hand on the stomach, plus breath exercise. And that is incredibly powerful. I do that every morning. First thing when I wake up, I put my hand on my chest, hand on my stomach, and do 10 to 15 minutes of mindfulness meditation. I'll talk about that in just a moment. But in an essence, it's connecting yourself to your body, connecting yourself to the present, connecting yourself to your breath. The mind is incredibly powerful. The way that we think about things literally changes the way that our bodies metabolize it. One of the craziest studies I've ever heard of was with hotel housekeepers, not a glamorous job, and only half of them were told, did you know that your job qualifies as an exercise routine? The way that you're changing the sheets and cleaning the bathrooms and all of that, and only that half lost weight. So the way that we think about things literally changes the way that we hold on to and process out trauma and stress is a matter of life and death. So that's why these practices are so powerful. Trauma is a wound, so there's physical trauma, but increasingly we talk about emotional trauma. And when we talk about emotional trauma, one of the interesting things is that emotional trauma is not so much a factor of what happens to you as how you interpret and how you respond to the way, to what happens to you. Thus, the power of story. Again, the way that we think of things impacts the way that we feel and experience them in our body. This is real. So one practice that really helps me is I say, the story I'm telling myself is blank. And that is very, very powerful. And then I also be very specific about the moment. So instead of saying, oh, I can't do this job, I can't do this, I say, the story I'm telling myself right now is that I can't do this. Or the story I'm telling myself, or is that in this moment, I feel like I can't do this. Another very powerful thing that I do is make my feelings boring. Our emotions, our feelings are in our body, our emotions are in our mind. Our emotions are the stories we tell ourselves about our feelings. And for example, I run both anxious and depressed. My father was bipolar schizoaffective, so it's part of what I inherited. And so I will just calmly name the fact, wow, I'm feeling a lot of anxiety in my body. It's hard to breathe. I hear ringing in my ears. Okay. So suffering is pain plus resistance plus story. And so what I have trained myself to do is to remove the stories and decrease the resistance. And that way I keep my pain clean and help it process through my body. Let's talk a bit about stories. What are you doing here? What is the purpose of life? Small questions. It's a really great practice to think of your highest values. What are your highest values? It could be love, it could be kindness, it could be service. So like my highest value is elegant, efficient approaches to well-being. And that's why I like taking care of staff more than taking care of patients. Like I like taking care of patients, but taking care of staff, when I take care of staff, I take care of all of their patients, all of your patients. Like that is very, very powerful. So connect to your values, think about what you are most excited about, and then think about how what you are doing now or how your job connects to your values, to your goals, to what makes you excited. So I've already talked about giving things the attention they deserve. This is another very, very powerful exercise. All attention is reward. All attention is currency. So you know that annoying person in your life or all the annoying people in your life? We want to pay attention and respond to all the annoying things they do, but that's what they want. So one very powerful way to avoid that game is to, don't give attention. One thing I call this is having the conversation that you should be having instead of having the conversation that you are having. So only respond to the things that are worth responding to. Another very, very powerful thing to do is to plug into the present. So for example, take a moment, and you can do this anytime, and feel the texture of your clothes. In the medical field, we wash our hands a lot. And so take a moment to feel the temperature of the water, feel the texture of the soap, feel the texture of the paper towel, or whatever you're using to dry your hands. So by doing this, again, this is what I mean. You're already doing it. You're already washing your hands. And by getting into your body, we are very often dissociated and we're often in altered states. So for example, we're thinking of something else as we wash our hands. If we take just a moment to feel the temperature of the water, to be in our body washing our hands, it will help us process out stress and difficulty and be more calm, which means we will then be able to emotionally regulate better, which means we will be able to show up better, which will then decrease our stress, and we trigger a virtuous cycle where things get better and better and better, which is the opposite of a vicious cycle where things get worse and worse and worse. As I said, be specific. As you talk to yourself, and I'm going to talk about talking to yourself in just a moment, say, I feel this now, or, oh, I can't do this. Until now, I haven't been able to do this. So we aren't limiting ourselves with our stories. We are plugging into our power with our stories. 5 minutes of nothing will change your life and change your brain. If you are able, take 5 minutes and clear your mind. This is called mindfulness meditation. It's from Buddhism. And as I said, put your hand on your chest, put your hand on your stomach, and either sitting up or laying down, just clear your mind or observe your thoughts. And it literally rewires your brain, increases your emotional regulation, increases your patience. It is amazing. Finally, plug into support. Talk to yourself out loud, talk to each other, talk to your coworkers, talk to your family members, talk to your people you're in a relationship with, and then tell the truth and then fix it. I've worked at the Utah State Prison for almost 5 years, and I have learned a great deal from working at the prison. You know, my time in prison has been good for me. And one thing that I appreciate about the prison is, I call it life skills with catastrophic consequences, is that things that are generally true in life are intensely true at the prison. And so when I'm training volunteers, I tell them, think outside the box, work within the box, change the box as possible. And I recommend that all of you do that in your lives, at work. So if something is annoying or not okay, don't hide from it. You know, like, tell yourself that truth. But at the same time, you need to work with things as they are. You need to work within current policy and procedure, and you need to work with your coworkers as they are. And so, for example, one thing that I've seen that is very difficult is with COVID patients is withdrawal of care. And I've noticed that it's painful for nurses to be the ones who are withdrawing care. And it's difficult if, like, the orders don't come from the doctors as fast as they should, or, you know, the family is not accepting or supportive. I mean, that's a big part of my job as a chaplain, is I am helping the patients and the family accept reality and update to very difficult situations. So we need to work with things as they are, but that doesn't mean we need to settle for things as they are. So we can move forward and implement better practices, update policy and procedure as we can. And so I have found that very, very helpful in staying present, staying sane. So in conclusion, I am going to recommend daily habits that only take a few moments. They are using what you already do and plugging into what you already are to radically increase your well-being. Going to talk about waking transitions when you're at work or when you're in a task, when you're transitioning, getting home, and then bedtime. When you wake up, take a moment to say something you're grateful for. I am grateful to be alive, if you are. I am grateful to have a comfortable place to sleep. I am grateful for my health. I am grateful for the ability to keep going. Like, whatever it is, just say out loud. Like, all of these things are things you should say out loud. Say, I am grateful for blank. If you can, take those 5 minutes to clear your mind, be in your body. But we all have 5 minutes, but if you can't fit in that 5 minutes, take moments while you drive, while you're in the bathroom, let's just be real here, and clear your mind and it's more pleasant to be fully present when you're driving. But just don't think about anything in particular. Don't listen to music, just be. And that will really, really help you. I'm using a workplace paradigm, but you can use this for any sort of task. So be still and breathe during transitions. When you arrive to work, name your why. Say, I really value care. This is an opportunity to practice care, for example, or whatever your value is. And so I value efficient approaches to well-being. And so when I'm at work, I'm like, okay, this is a chance to exercise, and to help people be well. At work, be in your body in the ways that we've discussed. At the end of shift, or before you transition to something else, name something that's true. I'm really sad because blank. I'm really proud of myself. I'm really happy. I'm really eager to go home. Just something that's true, either to a coworker or say it to yourself. And this will help you transition, and it will help you process the stress of work. When you get home, remind yourself that you are at home. So I am very mindful of what I'm wearing. And so I instantly change into cozy clothes. Yes, I'm wearing pajama pants, but I instantly get into cozy clothes as soon as I get home. And that is telling my body that I am home. And so I work hospice, prison, hospital, and I do nonprofit work. And so with each transition, I am dressed in a very particular way. So I'm currently wearing my podcast outfit. And then wash off the day. When you take your shower, say out loud, I am washing off the day, or I am washing off that particular interaction. I am washing off, that something that happened. And there's a reason why there's like Reddit, shower thoughts. There's a reason why we have shower thoughts, is because multiple very powerful things are happening in the shower. We are engaging in ritual behavior. We are more relaxed. There's the warmth of the water. There's the scent of the soap. It's one of the most powerful compound ritual embodied experiences that we have. And so if in the shower you say, I am washing off the day, and make it as specific as you need, say it out loud, you will literally metabolize out the stress and even trauma of your work or whatever is going on. Another thing is EMDR, bilateral stimulation. If you've heard of tapping, that's another very powerful thing that you can do. As you think about things that are difficult, you can tap opposite, it's called bilateral stimulation, opposite parts of your brain. Or even if anyone has done EMDR, you're familiar with this. This is one reason why walking and running is so powerful. So if you happen to be a walker or a runner, you can think about stressful moments, and it will help you process out and metabolize out those stressful moments. At bedtime, talk to yourself again. I am a compulsive journaler. I journal multiple times a day. I journal so this is my journal that I had when I was 8 years old. So I've journaled since I was 8. So if you don't journal, take a moment again to say something good or hard and give yourself positive reinforcement. Say, I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud of you for getting, and do use you, not me, because again, your brain can't differentiate from someone else giving you feedback and you giving yourself feedback. So if you say, I'm really proud of you, you really did a great job, or this was a really hard day, or I hope you can do better tomorrow, just that positive self-talk. And so that is it. As you can tell, everything that we covered, plugging into your body, plugging into stories, being aware of stories, that also functions as cognitive behavioral therapy, being in the present, plugging into the support that you have, showing gratitude, being still and breathing, plugging into your values, naming your why, speaking truth, effectively using what you will already do. This took about 20 minutes. Everything that we talked about, only at most, it takes literally minutes a day to shift. But practice doing these every single day, and you will train into your body greater well-being. Let me know how it goes.